Hello, it's Cried here with a quick discussion on whether or not the 2-piece Fulgur set is worth it. The 2-piece Fulgur set grants an additional stamina bar with 25 stamina. Now, the main use of this set's bonus is to pair it with the skill Maximum Might, which is conveniently on many of the Fulgur pieces as well. Maximum Might is a 2-cost armor skill that increases your affinity by 10% per level, up to 30%. It is activated after your stamina is kept full for 3 seconds, and ends 2 seconds after your stamina is no longer full. This 2 seconds works like an invisible, non-refilling gauge that you can use up over multiple consumptions. You can see me stutter step on screen to spend a bit of stamina at a time over many instances. However, consuming stamina from the additional stamina bar provided by the 2-piece Fulgur set will not cancel Maximum Might, as Max Might determines full stamina by only using the original stamina bar. Losing Maximum Might is a lot of affinity to lose if you happen to roll or block. If you're considering the Fulgur 2-piece, you are most definitely running Maximum Might 3, which is comparable amounts of affinity to Weakness Exploit 4 or 5, depending on how you want to see it. But since you don't need Fulgur 2-piece to have a relatively decent Maximum Might uptime already, just how much more uptime do you need to get from the 2-piece Fulgur set to make it worth it? This depends on many factors, which is why I built a quick Fulgur calculation table to demonstrate everything I want to show. On the left, we have the expected uptime of Maximum Might without the Fulgur set and with the Fulgur set. We also have the difference in attack between the two sets. The example attack difference I'm setting is comparing 4-piece Gore to 2-piece Gore plus 2-piece Fulgur. Gore's 4-4 set gives 10 plus 5 raw attack bonus, while using 2-piece Gore and 2-piece Fulgur can bump your extra agitator level from a 1 to a 3 for example, because your set is less restrictive. Of course, with agitator, there's also going to be a slight difference in affinity, favoring the Fulgur set as well. But that would be difficult to show off in the graph too, as I want to keep the crit chance and crit damage labels. So, I've settled for adding 1 extra attack to end up with this attack difference for a good estimate. But you definitely should expect more stats without the Fulgur set than with the Fulgur set, or else it's just free value. We're doing this to calculate what we can be paying for it. If I change the difference to become really small, then you're going to see an entire field of green. And green is good for the Fulgur setup, as it means how much higher your effective damage is in raw numbers while running the Fulgur set for the higher Maximum Might uptime. And red shows how much effective damage you're losing. Anyways, the table is based off of different affinity and crit damage values, which are more variables that affect how effective your Fulgur set is. There's no point going above 70% affinity without Maximum Might for the table, because if you're at 80%, you won't be running Maximum Might 3, you'll be running Maximum Might 2. And as previously stated, to get the full value out of Fulgur, you absolutely want to run Max Might 3. No question about it, as demonstrated by this sea of red when changing to Max Might 2. The lower your base affinity is, the more effective the affinity from Max Might is because of less diminishing returns from investing heavily into affinity. And the higher your crit damage is, the more you want the affinity from Max Might. So the directional effect should be pretty obvious, even though the edge cases aren't too realistic. No point dumping so hard into affinity if you don't even run crit boost, and no point running crit boost 5 with such a low affinity. This blue box I'm going to keep on the screen now is about the range where realistic builds should be concerned about. So if your uptime for Max Might is improved from 70% to 100% thanks to the Fulgur set, depending on your crit and crit damage, it is very much a worth it set. But 70% and 100%, these are numbers for a player above average, I'd say. What if you play a bit worse? Changing the numbers to 50% to 80% doesn't produce a drastic change, even if the table now favors the Fulgur a bit more. What will really change the table is how much more uptime the Fulgur set is helping you achieve. With a slight adjustment to the difference in uptime between running and not running the Fulgur, you can once again see a field of green. Perhaps your weapon has moves that actually consume stamina, like a greatsword's tackle. Or perhaps you're the kind of player that dodges a lot because of your weapon's playstyle. Or you're trying to mix in maximum might despite running a skill like Adrenaline Rush. However, you're very disciplined about your dodge, only dodging when you really need to. This will mean that the Fulgur set would be extremely useful for you. On the other hand, you might be a pro speedrunner that already keeps 80% maximum might uptime since the monster is constantly rolling on the ground. Or if you're playing a weapon that can even replace dodges with a slide, like the sword and shield, to not drop from full stamina, then the Fulgur set would not be as useful for you. In conclusion, the 2-piece Fulgur set is absolutely worth it under the right circumstances. As you can see, it can even beat the meta 4-piece score in terms of damage. But this heavily depends on the amount of extra uptime the Fulgur set bonus is granting you. Extra being the keyword here. It doesn't mean that just because you're a casual player, Fulgur set will automatically help you a ton if you constantly find yourself burning your stamina over the Fulgur limit. You have to be deliberate with planning and using your stamina. While you can go for the 4-piece set bonus for Fulgur, which doubles the amount of extra stamina to 50, it makes your gear quite restricted. Instead, you can consider investing into some stamina-related skills like Guard, Stamina Surge, or Marathon Runner to make managing your stamina bar easier. The best pairing though, I think, is Constitution. Level 4 Constitution will not work, but level 5 Constitution cuts fixed stamina depletion by 50%. Which will allow you to roll twice in a row without dipping into your original stamina bar. Or specifically for the greatsword, roll tackle will also not consume your original stamina bar, allowing you to maintain maximum might. 5 level 1 Zeko slots is indeed a bit costly here, although I do think it can be easily worth it. Like and subscribe so you don't miss my other upcoming breakdowns. If you want to support my work, please consider buying my fantasy novel or donating to my Patreon down below. With a book purchase, you can also request a topic from me. Krite, signing out.